Hi, I hope you're doing well. I think it's been about a year since I first started taking knitting seriously as a hobby, and at the stage that I'm at now, I am just so completely obsessed with knitting sweaters, specifically with stockinette sweaters. All I want to do is make sweaters. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks since I finished my last sweater, and I'm absolutely desperate to cast another one on. I feel like I'm almost a bit lost without having a sweater to work on. So I decided before the weather gets too warm, I'm gonna make one last chunky sweater, and I'm gonna make a sweater that's inspired by the one that Pippi Longstocking wears in the Pippi Longstocking film. I loved that film so much as a kid. I loved the Pippi Longstocking books so much. I remember when I was a kid I had a Russian version of the film on VHS and I would watch it over and over, and I had no idea what they were saying half the time, but I loved it. And the sweater that Pippi wears is this gorgeous, like, oversized colourwork sweater, and there's actually been a few pattern releases to help imitate that sweater, so I'm going to be following one of them. I've purchased the Lingren sweater pattern by Knitting for Olive. There is also a free pattern available by Kiss Kiss Rhinestones. It's not tested and it's not available in many sizes, but it is free, so I'll link it in the description if you're looking for a free pattern. But the pattern that I'm going to follow, it's worsted weight. It recommends 6mm needles and it's knitted bottom up. This is going to be my first bottom up sweater construction. I am a little bit worried about knitting a sweater bottom up because I really like trying on my sweaters as I go, and I normally crop the length a little bit, but I've looked on Ravelry and the length of this sweater looks to be around the same as my preferences. I'm just having a look at the pattern now to decide which size I'm going to knit. I'm going to go for the size small. There's about 20cm of positive ease in the pattern, so it's going to be nicely oversized, so I'm just going to go for my true size. You can see the bottom hem of the sweater has this beautiful curved detailing that you work by doing the bottom separately and then joining in the round when you finish the ribbing. I've got my yarn here to show you. I went pretty true to Pippi Longstocking's original sweater colours, except I've got an off-white here instead of a grey because I've got an awful lot of grey sweaters and I don't want this to be redundant. So this is Hobby Divina. They gifted me this ages ago, so I'm happy to be using it. It is a beautiful blown yarn. This is 65% baby alpaca, 28% polyamide and 7% wool. This is a very similar composition to other yarns that I've used before. It reminds me a lot of the Wool and the Gang Feeling Good yarn and of Drops Air as well. Drops Air is more affordable than this. So the main colour is going to be this off-white shade. This is colour number 2. I have 6 balls of this, and for the accents I've got this dark red colour. This is shade number 15. And this navy, this is shade number 22, and I've just got one of each of these balls, which I hope will be enough. I also did my gauge swatch last night. Here it is. I am meeting gauge pretty much exactly. I think the gauge is 15 stitches by 20 rows on 6mm needles. This is a beautiful fluffy yarn that works really well with my sensitive skin. As you can see, it's quite light. Like, this isn't gonna be a very thick chunky sweater, and for a hot second I thought, oh, maybe this isn't gonna be a good yarn to choose for a sweater. Like, maybe there's not enough structure there, especially on such big needles, for it to hold its shape. But then I remembered I made an entire sweater with the Wool and the Gang Feeling Good yarn. I've got it here. This is my most worn hand knit sweater. This is the Little Lies pattern, and this was knit on 6.5mm needles. As you can see, this looks so similar to my gauge swatch, and it's even a bit looser, and this has held its shape pretty well, so I've got no reason to believe that the Divina is going to do anything different. I also wore this sweater a lot during like summer evenings, and I'm hoping to be able to do the same for this one. This also is potentially going to be my last project vlog in Scotland before I move to Berlin. It's mid-March now, and I should be going to Berlin in early April. I don't know how long the sweater is going to take. Maybe I'll still be knitting it during the move, or maybe I'll finish it just before, but I guess we'll see, and it's time to cast on. progress updates so far. This is the start of the bottom of the front of the body of the sweater. And as you can see, I've done some of the ribbing. I'm now going to start doing some decrease rows to create the shaping for the ribbing. And it's quite an interesting ribbing actually. I didn't realise this by looking at the pictures, but it's a 3x2 rib. So there's more knit stitches than there are purl stitches. As you can see, I'm in a hotel room. I am flying to London for work tomorrow, so I'm staying at an airport hotel in Glasgow tonight. And hopefully while I'm in London, I'm gonna have enough time to go to the beautiful knitters shop. I really want to go there, and I think if my working day finishes before 4, I should be able to make it there before it closes, but I don't know if it will or not. I've had such a lovely solo night in Glasgow. I used to live in Glasgow for like 4 years, but I never am here alone anymore. I'm only ever here seeing friends, so I had such a lovely evening. I went sunglasses shopping in the afternoon. This brand Eola invited me to like pick out a pair of their sunglasses, and I've never like gone into a sunglasses store and actually tried on a bunch of pairs, which is something that I really should be doing because most sunglasses don't suit me. But this is the pair that I picked up. It came in this gorgeous case and they look like this. They're a really nice dark brown colour. Black sunglasses don't suit me, and really warm toned like tortoiseshell brown sunglasses don't suit me either, so this is like the perfect colour. And I think these are a nice shape for my face. I don't know. I tried on so many pairs, but hopefully I'm gonna actually like how I look in these. I often suffer from buying a pair of sunglasses and then seeing like one photo of me in them and realizing they don't suit me and just never wearing them again. So I really hope this is not the case. These are a beautiful quality pair of sunglasses as well. After that, I went to a spin class, a Revolution spin. It was my first ever spin class, I think. It was interesting. I don't know if I loved it, to be honest. It was quite humbling. I love weightlifting and I love doing yoga, and I kind of pride myself at being like quite good at both of those things, and I'm pretty strong, so I didn't expect to be bad at spin, but obviously because I just don't do cardio really, my endurance is just not where I thought it was. I was really struggling for a little bit, but then I decided I'm just gonna ignore the instructor and just push myself to my own appropriate edge, and then I enjoyed the class a lot more. But I think that just high intensity cardio is not my jam. I don't love sweating, I don't love like being out of breath, and I really like pushing myself in the way of like lifting, feeling the burn of a muscle in that way. I don't love pushing myself to the point where I can't breathe. And honestly, that experience has just made me really grateful that I have found exercise that I love. Doing that class kind of reminded me of a time period before I discovered weightlifting, and I thought that all exercise was just like, you know, running, HIIT classes, that sort of thing, and I just didn't enjoy it. Like, I enjoyed it afterwards, I like the feeling afterwards, but with weightlifting and yoga, like, I actually enjoy the experience of it, and it can be like as chill as you make it. You just go at your own pace and you still get a good workout even if you're not like feeling exhausted at the end of it, which I really appreciate. So yeah, maybe not gonna go to spin again. And after that, I took myself on a little solo date to Gloriosa, which is one of my favourite restaurants in Glasgow. When I lived in Glasgow, I was such a foodie. I went to like all the restaurants and Gloriosa is in my top 5. Actually, if you're like in or around Glasgow, if you're visiting Glasgow and you're interested, my top 5 are Gloriosa, Crab Shack with 2 Ks, Sunny Acre in the south side is my favourite cafe. My favourite restaurant of all time is Big Counter, and the fifth one is tied between Errol's for pizza and Sugo for pasta. Sugo is an affordable restaurant as well if you're looking for like a under £15 meal. I have a glass of wine and read my book. This is the book I'm reading actually. It's The Master and Margarita by Bulgakov. I'm like 70 pages into it, and I've had this for like 6 months, and I think I have the same issue with reading as I do with knitting, where if I perceive something to be difficult, I put it off for a very long time. Like any knitting patterns that include techniques that I haven't done yet, I put off doing, and any book that I perceive as being difficult to read, like non-fiction or like classics, I also put off because I don't want it to be a slog, which I really want to get over, because you know, classics are just good books that are old. Like every classic I've read, I have gained a lot more from than like reading modern fiction. Like my life before and reading after, say, 1984 has changed because I understand so many pop culture references. Same with knitting. Like as soon as I get started on a pattern that includes new techniques, I just learn the new technique and then it's fine. So that's something that I really want to push past. Otherwise, I am enjoying this book so far. It seems quite surreal. So for the rest of the night, I think I'm just gonna chill out, do a bit more knitting, eat my favourite new chocolate. Let me influence you on this. These are new Kit Kat hazelnuts. They're so good. Like, I don't love Kit Kats. These go insane. Like, they're better than a Kinder Bueno. They're better than the Kit Kat peanut butter. They're so good. Like, every time I get a meal deal now, I really struggle to get anything other than that. So that's what my night's gonna look like. My flight's at 6 in the morning tomorrow, so I'm back home now with pretty greasy hair because I got a head massage in the airport. I am already starting my colour work on the sweater. Since I started the colour work, I've realised how simple the colour work design is, and I'm quite glad that the sweater has other detailings, such as like the curved hem here, so I am not just knitting like a really basic sweater that I could have just done myself. As you can see, I finished the ribbing and it has this little curved split hem, which is done by doing some short rows and then picking up stitches along the sides of the ribbing before joining in the round, and it looks really good so far. The pattern is fine, easy to read. Apart from it doesn't have an abbreviations page, and I came across an abbreviation that I didn't know while on the plane home. It was the abbreviation MC, which I now know stands for main colour, but that it's sort of quite a niche issue to have, but it was a little bit annoying. The yarn is going pretty quickly. This is my first bowl of yarn. It's almost done. And yeah, I had such a nice time in London. I ate some really good food at Dishoom, and I ended up having loads of time to spend in beautiful knitters, and I did make a little purchase. So I'm going to show you what I got. It was such a nice store. I went there because Woozy by Celine always talks about that shop, so I really want to see what the fuss is about, and like I totally get the hype. It's such a nice store, especially because there's very few nice yarn stores around me. It was so great to just actually go around and have a feel of the yarns myself and have a look at what the colours look like. Like that was the first time I've seen Knitting for All of Yarn in person, so I don't think I honestly spent like 25 to 30 minutes just touching every single yarn in the entire store. Two things that I will say about the shop are that I wouldn't recommend going to a store like that, like a sort of independent luxury yarn store, if you're a complete beginner, because I think the prices might put you off knitting. Like knitting doesn't have to be an expensive craft, and there are good quality budget yarns out there. They're just not stocked in these like boutique yarn shops. I think that if I had gone to that shop while I was a beginner, I probably would have spent an awful lot of money on yarn that wouldn't have worked that well for me. Like, there's so many beautiful mohairs in there, but with over a year of knitting experience behind me, I now know not to just buy a mohair because it looks pretty in the skein, because it's likely not going to agree with my sensitive skin. And I also think that like a lot of these variegated yarns look a lot nicer in the skin than they do in a finished garment, in my personal opinion. And my second point about the shop is that while they have an amazing selection of wools, they have quite a limited selection of like other plant fibres like cotton and linen and silk. Like, there are a few, and I did buy one of them, but now that it's spring, I just don't want to be buying wool. I don't want to be knitting with wool very much at all. Over spring and summer, I want to be making garments that I can wear in the heat, and for me that isn't wool. Like, I want to be using a lot of cottons, a lot of nice like cotton linen blends, and for those I think there's just a much bigger selection available online. So I was toying between buying some knitting for Olive Pure Silk or buying a cotton for me to crochet a bag with. And the girls in the store helped me figure out how much pure silk I would need for the project I have in mind, and it was going to be like 10 balls or something, and I just didn't want to spend that much money. So instead I got 4 balls of this Isaiah Japansk Bomels. That's in a language that I don't know how to pronounce properly, so I apologize. But it's 100% cotton. It's very, very thin, so with my 4 balls I'm going to be holding 2 strands together, and with this I plan to crochet the crochet tote bag by Chloe X Crochet. I already have the pattern for it. I looked at the gauge. I think holding 2 strands together would work, and this is a really interesting yarn because it feels like paper or maybe like jute or something, but it's just straight up cotton. So really interesting. This is color number 0. And I have 4 balls of it in this lovely tote bag. So a very successful trip. That was £30 of yarn, so definitely a bit of a splurge, especially because I think you could crochet this tote bag with under £5 worth of material, but it's going to be a really nice souvenir from my few days away. Here is my progress. It's starting to really take shape as a sweater. As you can see, I've done 2 lines of colour work, and I think in the entire sweater body there's only 5 stripes of colour work, so making very good progress. It's also really like fun to knit because you're not just knitting stockinette in the round, you're waiting for your next stripe, so it does keep me going. I want to show you in one of the next clips how I do the colour work because I'm copying just a TikTok that I saw where you're knitting both strands continentally, which is how I knit, but one of the strands you sort of flip on your index finger, which creates a decent amount of separation, and I'm finding it really fast to do the colour work this way, so I want to pass the message on just in case anyone else is a continental knitter. I'm nearing the end of my second ball of the white yarn, and in the pattern there are some periodical decreases, so the round is getting smaller and smaller, which is making it faster and faster to knit. Things are really ramping up in my personal life. So today is Tuesday, and last Thursday, so 5 days ago, I had an appointment at the German consulate in Edinburgh for my visa. I didn't need to go to the embassy in Edinburgh for my visa. I could apply for my German visa after I already arrived in Germany, but I researched that option, and a lot of people on Reddit have said that if you apply for your visa after you arrive in Germany, you're subject to like potentially very long waiting periods in the city hall, and you're not allowed to leave the country while they're processing it. And I didn't want to be unable to leave Germany for potentially like over a month or whatever. So I decided to go to the consulate in Edinburgh instead and get my visa before I left. And I didn't know how long it would take. They say up to 15 working days, but I was convinced it was going to be a little bit faster, because like how many Scottish people need German visas? And not many, I presume. After I went to the consulate, I then went with my friends on a weekend up north to Fort William. We had like a perfect weekend of doing some hikes, spending the evenings in a hot tub. Like we had a really good time. But my passport arrived home before I did. So my passport got here on Saturday. They processed my visa in about 2 or 3 hours. So when I got home on Sunday night, I basically had the go-ahead to go to Germany whenever I liked, because I'm already paying rent for a room in Berlin just so I could secure it. And today my enrollment in the university was finalised. So everything is done, and all I need to do is like pack and get there. So I booked a flight for 6 days time. So I'm going to Berlin like really, really, really soon. Which I honestly don't feel any strong emotions about. I feel so indifferent about moving to another country. I feel the same way as if I were to move back to Glasgow or Edinburgh or something like that. It doesn't faze me at all, which is good. But I do need to do a lot of organising of my life before I go. So what this means for this project is that I might not touch this until potentially I'm on the plane. Oh, one final update I want to give actually. So I have been trying to book in for a haircut at Curly Hair Specialist in Glasgow for like 2 or 3 months, but they're constantly booked out. And I really want to get my hair cut before I move to Berlin, because in my head it's going to be more expensive there. I don't know whether that's actually true or not. So I've booked a hairdresser's appointment at the local village hairdressers, which is great because I can get one in 2 days time. So we'll see what my hair looks like at the end of that. This is going to be the first professional haircut that I get since I've discovered I have wavy hair. So we'll see if they can do anything about this. Hi from Berlin. It's my first day here. I feel so zen today. I travelled yesterday. I think I arrived at about 10 p.m. and I just immediately unpacked everything. So everything was done and organised by midnight. Had a great night's sleep, and I've had a really chill day today. I didn't know when my lectures would actually start. The semester starts today, but the lectures don't start until 2 weeks' time. So I've basically just got like an unemployed lifestyle for the next 2 weeks. Like I've got nothing to do apart from YouTube, of course. Like I literally probably spend about 35 hours a week doing YouTube stuff. But you know, like that's all stuff that I love and want to enjoy. This room is amazing. I'm subletting this place until end of May. And it's huge. Like it's got a desk and a sofa, massive wardrobe, and it's in a super nice area of the city as well. All I've done today is like go out for lunch, do a food shop. I've got a yoga class later on. I am like chilling. I had my last day of work 4 or 5 days ago, and I left that place with such a massive grin. I am so happy to be free from Microsoft Teams. Truly. It's so nice to just not be like chained to a laptop anymore. I guess I will be in a different sense when I'm at university, but that's a choice, you know, like it's something that I want to do, and my job was never something I felt passionate for, you know. And I'm saying all that still with like my last paycheck in my hand. Maybe I'll feel differently in a few months' time when I'm proper living on a student budget. But so far I'm having a great time. I miss my parents, but otherwise I don't feel like any strong feelings around leaving home and moving here. I'm really happy to live in a capital city. I've never lived in a capital city before, at least long term. It's really exciting to have so many nice restaurants and like yoga studios and stuff near me. So I'm going to be making the most of that. I think I want to set up some like really good like habits and routines these first few weeks here, just to make sure that they stick. So I want to like cook for myself a lot. I want to meditate every morning. This is such a nice space to meditate in. It's a south-facing room and there's so much sunlight. I want to obviously like work on YouTube, but I don't want to be doing it past 9 p.m. I want to be quite strict with that, and like, you know, I'll just knit past 9 p.m. if I don't want to do any like YouTube work or whatever. And yeah, I'm having a really good time so far. Absolutely no knitting updates. I haven't touched it since the last time I spoke to you. But I've gone from a place of being like super stressed out and rushed off my feet to just having nothing to do now. So I'm sure I'll have plenty of time to get some knitting done. God, you can really tell just from my voice how relaxed I am. Wow. I'm gonna fall asleep during this yoga class. Right, jumper update. I have now split for sleeves, which involved casting off like a few stitches where the markers were, and I am now continuing just working on one of the panels. This is it. This is the front panel. So you can see I've done 4 colourwork stripes on the front panel, but I still have the back panel on the same needles just because I'm lazy, and I was just doing this last night and there doesn't seem to be any reason to actually put these on hold since they're not getting in the way. So I'm just knitting back and forth on this front panel, and I think I'm just about ready to start doing the neckband. I think you start with the bottom of the neckband, and then as you go up the sides of the shoulders you do end up doing like a 5th stripe of the colour work. I actually haven't been working on this very much at all. I've been super social the past week. Is it a week? Yeah, a week today that I've been in Berlin, and I've just been doing this like maybe 2 or 3 hours in the evenings for like 3 evenings. So I've not really put that much work in, but it looks like it's really starting to take shape. I'm quite excited to start moving on to the sleeves, so I think I might work on this tonight and see if I can get the rest of the body done. I'm on ball number 3 of my white yarn, still got the majority of that ball to go. And yeah, I think if I like locked in on that in the way that I have done with previous sweaters, I would be able to finish it very quickly. But I have been really trying to like find some roots in Berlin. I can't believe it's only been a week. It feels like a lot longer. I've been super social. I've made tons of new friends, which is great. I've explored my neighborhood. I've explored other neighborhoods. I've done so much walking. Like I've done 20,000 steps a day, like more than once, just from walking around. Even just like getting to the U-Bahn is a trek. Even just like traveling around the city, it takes me an hour to get to my university, and that includes like maybe 20 minutes of walking, so I'm really getting my steps in. I've also been going to loads of fitness classes. I found that because I don't have a 9 to 5 anymore, it's quite hard for me to get up in the morning if I don't have anything to get up for. So I've been booking morning fitness classes and I've been trying new things. I tried a bar class the other day, which I thought was mid. I tried a mat Pilates class, which I enjoyed, but not as much as yoga. Well, saying that about the bar, like, I didn't love it while I did it, which is kind of what I want to feel when I'm working out, because I love yoga when I do it and so on and so forth. But I know it was good for me. Like, I think I can see why people do it. Like, it's so good at targeting like your muscles very holistically, and I think the same for Pilates. Having tried a few classes, yoga continues to be my favourite. My classes start in a week's time. I have my first lecture in a week, and I am going to try and aim to have this sweater done before then. I think that's a feasible deadline, and I also think it'll be a nice wrap up of this knitting, just in case I get so caught up in lectures and studying that I don't touch my needles for a while. I would like to have a finished sweater before then. I'm going to try and show you how I do colour work, because I found that this is the fastest method. So I normally hold my yarn like this and knit like this. I think this is like continental knitting, I'm not sure. And what I do when I've got two strands is I wrap them both around this finger, and then I take one and switch it around so it creates more space. And then I can quite easily like pick and choose between the two colours and knit almost at normal speed. Look at me go. Obviously, if you don't knit continental, this probably is a really bad idea to try and learn it just for this style, but this is what works for me. Just finished seaming up the shoulders, and this is my first try on. I love the fit. It's a very nice amount of ease and nice length on me. It's definitely very cropped. I know it will stretch with blocking a little bit, but like my belly button's here, it's, you know, it's not a hip length jumper, and I just looked on the website to see if it mentions that this is a cropped sweater, and it doesn't anywhere, which I think is kind of poor form for a bottom up jumper, because that's something you kind of want to know so that you can adjust for it. Love how the colour work looks. I'm excited to see what will happen with the neckline when I add the collar in. This split hem detail at the bottom is so pretty, and I'm still on the very end of my third ball of the white yarn. This is how much of that I've got left. So I think that means I've got 3 and a bit balls of the white left, which should be plenty to do the sleeves and the collar. I was interested to see how this construction would work, because this is my first bottom-up sweater pattern, but this was all very easy. You basically just cast off in certain areas and do decreases, and it shapes itself. The only thing I found the slightest bit tricky was, because you start working the sweater flat from the armholes up, you do have to do the colour work in both knit and purl rows. So I had to learn how to do colour work while purling, but that was fine otherwise. I've also weaved in all my ends, because I figured there's just going to be more and more ends as this sweater grows, so I decided to make life easier for me at the end. It's Friday today, and the first lecture for my first course is at 10 AM on Monday, so I don't know whether I can do 2 sleeves in a weekend, but I don't have much on, so I might as well try. I think for the rest of today, what am I going to do with myself? I really want to read my book. I haven't touched my book since I've got here, so I might go to a cafe and do that. There's a really big Humana thrift shop, like 4 floors. I think maybe a 20-minute walk away from me, so I want to go check that out. And I need to find one of my neighbours. One thing with German like couriers and postal service is if you live like above the first floor, they will not walk up the stairs to give you your parcel. They would rather deliver it to the ground floor flat and have you like go and find your neighbour to get your parcel off you. And I really want this parcel because it is some magnesium. I discovered magnesium supplements in November and they've changed my life so much. I've been without them for the past 2 weeks and I didn't even realise how much I rely on taking magnesium now. My entire adult life I've always needed like 9 hours of sleep and I've always woken up feeling really groggy and found it really hard to get up. I'm always in a bad mood in the morning and I thought that's just how I was because I tried so many other supplements, like having a good diet in general, iron supplements, all of that, and I still could never wake up like feeling fully rested. But if I take a magnesium supplement right before I go to sleep, it fixes me. It's so good. It also really helps with my neck tension. But yeah, for my sleep, it's just changed my life and I need it back. So I need to find this neighbour. I did go to the supermarket and bought some there. So I got these, but they're hard pills. And I find these really hard to digest if I don't take them with a large meal, and the magnesium only really works if I take it right before I go to sleep. These are definitely better than taking nothing, but the ones that I've ordered are capsules that I find really easy to digest, so I need to get them today so I can have a good night's sleep tonight. It's Sunday night. I'm so sleepy, but I have finished my first sleeve. So the sleeves construction was pretty simple. You do a few short rows at the top here just to shape the sleeve cap, and then a few decreases as you go down, not many. It almost stays the same width, and then at the bottom you don't do any decreases, but you do switch your needle size. It says to switch to a 4.5mm needle, but I don't have 4.5mm short circular needles, so I used my 4s because I just completely refuse to knit a sleeve with any longer needles than this. This makes knitting a sleeve so much easier for me. I did make the sleeve a little bit shorter. I did a few less rows right here before I started the ribbing, just because I tried it on and I was scared it was getting a bit too long. Like already it's hitting my wrist, and I think the collar will move up a bit and the blocking will move it back down a bit. So hopefully this will be around about the right length for me. I did have to redo the first half of it because I chose the wrong color. I initially did a blue here and then I realized that this stripe will match up with this stripe here, not this stripe as I initially thought. So I'm really glad I took the time to undo and redo it because I think this looks much neater. And yeah, my first lectures are tomorrow. It takes me ages to get to the university, like almost an hour. So if the trains aren't too busy, I might work on this on the train. It is Wednesday night. I'm just about to cast off my second sleeve. This is how much I have left of my 5th ball of yarn. So I do still have one full one left. Not sure if this is going to be enough to do the collar, but we'll see. I've also now completed all the colour work. So this is how much of each of the colour work colours I have left. I think there's more than half of each ball left. This is a full ball for reference because I don't have like any scales or anything. I think if you were to do this in one colour for the colour work instead of 2, one ball of this would be enough. First week of lectures has gone pretty good. I feel Overwhelmed, but in a good way. Like, I think I've used my brain more in the past 3 days than I have done maybe in the past 3 months. I already have my first piece of homework, which is hilarious. Like, I'm a 27-year-old with homework. And already I am putting off the homework to knit. So that doesn't bode well for my future. I finally got my magnesium, so my sleep has been a lot better. And I have also got Botox in my shoulder muscles. It's called like trap tox. They inject Botox in your trapezius as like a chronic pain management method. I've like had chronic tension and pain in my neck and shoulders all my adult life, and I've literally tried everything, and I decided this is the one thing that I haven't tried, so I might as well take that off my list to see if it works. And it's too early to say. It's been about 48 hours since I got it, so I don't think it's kicked in yet. But even just the process of getting the Botox, like, it sort of like does like the same thing as dry needling, where putting a needle in a muscle knot immediately releases it. So I've been having great sleeps because of that. This is such a weird topic to cover. It feels weird talking about Botox. I feel like I need to do like 1,000,001 disclaimers about Botox, but I think you can trust that I've done some research and I know my body well and all that sort of stuff. So I'm hoping that that will be a nice long-term solution to being in less discomfort. I've also been watching some TV, which is crazy for me because I'm so anti-TV, anti-watching, not anti-TV like as a concept, but like I watch YouTube videos. I don't tend to watch TV shows at all, but I binged watched Last One Laughing UK on Amazon Prime because it was advertised a lot and it features Bob Mortimer, who's like my favourite celebrity ever. So I watched it in a day and it was so good that I'm now watching Last One Laughing Ireland. It's just such an easy watch if you're looking for some sort of comedic reality TV sort of situation. I also watched it's called A Man on the Inside. I watched it because it features a lot of the cast from The Good Place, which I absolutely loved. And it is such a sweet little show. I don't tend to watch a lot of TV mainly because I don't like a lot of the popular genres. Like, I don't like watching stuff that is tense because it makes me tense and I'm tense enough already. I don't like watching horror or like drama. I want my media to make me feel good, basically. And this is such a wholesome, sweet watch. It's just like 8 episodes. It's about a retired man that goes undercover for a private investigator into a nursing home. And it's mainly just about like him interacting with people in the nursing home. And it's like funny and cute. I would recommend it if you're looking for something that is easy to watch. I could potentially finish the sweater tonight, but I think that would be neglecting my homework. But I do think that by end of day tomorrow, this should be fully cast off and blocked and drying. Here we are, here's the finished sweater. I love how this has turned out. I don't think I could possibly have done a better job with the fit here. And I'm really glad that I used white as the base colour instead of grey. I think this looks nicer than if it were a light grey. And I'm just, yeah, I love it. There was a point during the second sleeve where I was a bit like, oh, I'm kind of fed up of seeing this. I don't know if I'm gonna like it so much as a finished garment, but I think it's turned out so well. It's confirmed something to me that I had already been thinking for a while, and this has really solidified it, which is that I way prefer the look of a drop shoulder sweater on me than a raglan. I just think this looks a lot better. I don't know, I can't really explain it directly. I did end up going into the 6th ball of the white yarn, not using very much of it, but if you do want to make this yourself with the same yarn in the same size, I did use like 5.1 or 5.2 balls of the white yarn in total. I'm so glad that I made the alterations to the sleeves of doing like, I think probably 6 less rows in total, because it's really almost too long. I think it works, the sleeve length works, but if it were any longer, I think I would have to unravel it and do something about it. This is what the side looks like. The split hem detail is beautiful. And this is the back. I'm wearing it with some like mid to low rise jeans now, so you can just see it hits exactly the right point where I would want a sweater to hit. The length hasn't stretched very much with blocking. I would say maybe an inch or half an inch. I think the weight of the sweater has also turned out quite well. Even though it's a blown yarn and I use 6mm needles, it's not super holey. I do think this could keep me warm, and so far it doesn't feel itchy. I'd already worked with this yarn, but just as confirmation, my very sensitive skin is happy. The collar is actually a double folded collar, which I don't think I've done on a sweater before. It was super easy, like you just sort of knit the colour some more and you can just seam it in very unprofessionally because it's on the inside and you won't have to see it. I think it adds a good amount of structure. I do have some elastic thread somewhere. I might not have brought it here. I tried to find it. It might still be at my parents' house, but I do want to put some elastic in the collar just because I know that this will stretch out over time and I want it to keep sitting exactly where it is. I had absolutely no issues with the pattern at any point, and of all the sweaters that I've like ever knit, I think this pattern may be the one that I will return to knit a second time first, just because it's so basic with such a great fit, and if you take the colour work away, it's basically a completely different sweater. I do have a store-bought sweater, like a very similar fit to this, that I absolutely love, apart from the fact that it's made of like a really fluffy acrylic yarn, so it'd be nice to be able to make a real wool version of that sweater using this pattern. I was thinking that maybe I wouldn't get anywhere out of this in the coming months, because in the past week it was like 25, 27, 28 degrees here, but today it's back to 15 degrees and cloudy, like proper spring weather. So I'm sure I'll have at least a month with this sweater before it's time for it to be put away for autumn, which I am sad about because I like this on, but happy about that I get to wear this. And yeah, that's all. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing my life develop into what it is now over the past month. I was editing a part of this vlog earlier and it's just crazy to see the change that can happen in a month. Thank you so much to everyone that's like DM'd me on Instagram or left comments on my other videos wishing me well with the move. I feel very happy and very settled in here now, and yeah, this life will continue to be the backdrop of my project vlogs for the foreseeable. So thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!